It's another episode of Worn Out Racing. In the last episode, you saw me reveal my new project car and probably the biggest project that the channel has seen so far. Yep, I told you it wasn't going to take too long before we got back out here again and started doing another episode. Now, with today's episode, not only am I going to be going through all of the boxes of parts that came with this, both spares and the parts for the actual car itself. There is some very cool stuff in here already. But I'm also going to give you a proper rundown of the car. Very conscious that not all of you are going to know what this car is from my previous features and stuff like that, because it actually has been in the magazine. I'm going to tell you what's on it at the moment. Spec-wise, again, very, very good. And then basically you'll be able to get a feel of what it's like now. So as it progresses, you'll know. So first off, let's go inside the car. I think that's a good idea. One thing you're going to notice as I do get into the car, these are polycarbonate, or at least perspex, I think. And obviously these are polycarbonate or perspex. These will probably be need replacing because they're pretty scratched up. And obviously I can't lock my window, which is not ideal. But we'll worry about that at a later date. You will also notice this is a full roll cage in it. It's actually a custom one. I will be taking off all this padding and repainting it and stuff like that as well. Adding a few little extra bits. But if I can just sneak over the top of this. Wow, that is not easy when you haven't got much room to open the door. But as I said, this is actually a really nicely made cage. And you can see I've got a lower brace and an upper brace. Although really, this one is a harness bar, this top one. And as you also see, there is no dash. Now, it looks absolutely terrible, I know, but that's because the whole engine loom, so the wiring that goes through this little bung here, that's in the engine bay, is currently inside here while the engine bay is getting sorted. So once this all gets pulled up and pushed back through, this looks significantly less bad than it actually did. And obviously, every single connector in here is supposed to go into all the switches in the back of the dash, so it just looks really bad. Now, the dashboard I've got is over there on the floor because the one that was in here was chopped up quite a lot. I think the whole bottom half was chopped out, and to get around the cage, it had quite a lot of it chacked out of it as well. So either way, I've got a fresh dashboard to go in it, and that is good. Now, things to mention while I'm in here. It has a full fire extinguisher system. Again, I think some of it's been taken off, like the actual cables, but I'll double check that. It also has, for very race car things, if we can just see the washer jet bottle in the back. I don't think it has the battery mounted in the back, but there does seem to be. I'm not too sure what these random, some stuff's going through like pipe. There seems to be a lot more going back there than seems to make any sense. So I don't know if the battery normally mounts in the back. So we'll figure that out. If it doesn't, I may well mount it in the back. I don't know. It's also got amongst here some of like the kill switches and stuff, which again, I'll be replacing this, maybe with a push button start, because that's kind of cool. But otherwise, it's pretty standard in here. We've got a couple of bucket seats, which are actually really comfortable. And these harnesses, which are 100% going, because I don't know about you, but I don't really like that they're bolted in down there, because if anyone knows anything about harnesses, you should definitely never have them at this angle, because it's hugely dangerous. I think it's something like a 20% angle is the most that you should have. So really, it should be going from here back to that harness bar, which thankfully I've got some that will go on a harness bar, so they'll be going straight in the bin / being sold. Let me think. I think that's it. I think it's got an upgraded fuel pump as well. So let's get out and have a look at the suspension. Now, the car is running on these Compomotive MOs now. These are the ones that Chris put on there. Definitely needs new tyres. I'm not convinced yet whether I'm going to stick with a 14 or not. I may well go on a 13, just run it a little bit lower. We'll see. But the good thing about it is it's got Avo coilovers on the front, which is exactly what I'm running on mine now. And it's got Avo adjustable shocks on the rear, which again, I'm not running those, so we'll see how they look. And the car comes with some other suspension bits as well, but it's got a lower brace, uprated front anti-roll bar, which again, exactly the same ones on the Lemon. I think it's an ABAC one, which are really rare, and it's got some poly bushes on it. And all of the arms, front and back, are poly bushed. Great times. So that is all nicely up to scratch. And nicely, braking wise, and I would argue, you don't really have to upgrade the brakes on these as far as size anyway, but this one is already running Punto GT Turbo brake calipers. It's an old school mod everyone used to do. If you wanted fast car, you've got some Punto GT Turbo calipers, because they were super cheap at the time at least. A bit harder to find now, I believe. They're probably the same size as some other Fiats and Alphas anyway, but it's got those. It's got one braided line on that caliper. I don't know if the other braided line is still on the car, but if not, it'd be sweet if it's got braided lines. And I've also found some camber bolts amongst the spare parts. So it'll get some camber bolts on the front as well. And obviously we've already touched on what engine's going to be going in this with the Mark 1 Punto 16 valve. And it's actually got a Cinquecento gearbox, so the gearing on it should be pretty good. And the gearbox has been fully rebuilt. The other thing to bear in mind is even the gear engine. It's got polybushed engine mounts and gearbox mounts, and then the yellow ones as well. I think some are yellow, some are red, so they're actually a mix and match. I'll double check. I think the red ones might be the slightly more racy one. The yellow one might be the softer one, which if they are, that's good because the engine's mounted with the yellow ones, so I'll stop it vibrating too much. And the gearbox is mounted with the red ones because I don't need that to move at all. Yep, I think that probably concludes the spec for now. So I reckon we open up the back of the car, see what's in there, and start unboxing this Aladdin's cave of awesomeness. Because don't worry, I'm not going to let you see every single thing that I unpack, because obviously some of it's bolts and things that you aren't going to care about. And bearing in mind also, I bought this car completely sight unseen, just based on what Chris told me. I've already been finding some absolute chestnuts. Some of the things as well, like you may not appreciate this if you're not massively into Cinquecentos, but stuff like headlights, like good headlights, are getting really hard to find. The adjusters snap on them. You start getting a few problems like the reflectors and stuff on the inside. The only way you can get a new one is if you buy a left-hand drive one and swap the glasses over. Now, I've already found this basically mint, like it looks brand new. I don't know if it actually is, headlight. And then I was digging around in the back of the car and I found this other side, absolutely mint headlight. So I've got that spare pair, and the pair on it also look, give or take, pretty much mint. I mean, that one's slightly faded, so that one might be slightly older. Who knows? But I'll figure it out. I found an extra couple of sets of indicators, so that is sweet. I just found, excuse me for ping-ponging around, but there was a lot to unpack here. Just found some camber bolts. Happy days. If I didn't show you in the last episode, it's got a flopped dash with this one anyway, which I did know about, and I've got a spare dash, which is actually pretty handy, so I'm well happy with that. I have just pulled out this box. I don't know what's in that yet, but I've just got this as well, which is a spare pan, because I do plan on potentially running an extra breather from the pan up until the breather tank as well, because that would be really good for track days and stuff like that, so I can always test it out on this. But I think, oh, these are door cards as well, so I might use these on the Lemon, because I've got black plastic ones, but they've got red lines on it, and I don't like them, so I might use these. But anyway, this, I believe, is a brand new brace. I think it might be a top brace and the fingerstar one underneath from Gorney Motorsport, which is a Polish company. It's really hard to get them to send stuff over to the UK, or at least roll cages and stuff. I don't know what it's like for braces. But I'm going to cut this open and see what the deal is. But I mean, already, that's pretty sweet. Wow, space is going to start becoming a real problem in here pretty soon. Yeah, this looks pretty nice. Like I said, this is obviously the top brace, but I do remember these ones when I've seen from Gorney Sport before. They actually brace it with these bars as well, which is really nice because it stops them flexing, because what's the point in having a brace if you don't? And then this is the underneath one, which again, if I remember rightly, these ones are great because they don't sit down very far from the car. So if you run a slammed Cinquecento, then this type of brace is way better to go for. So I'm going to check what one's got on there now. For now, I'm going to find a little slot for these down the back, because I do not need them for the time being. Honestly, without ignoring the large amount of work that I've got ahead of me, man, I am absolute kid in a candy shop at the moment. I nerd out hard about getting all this stuff. And I'll be honest with you, I have this kind of sick pleasure of having just huge amounts of parts and stuff on my shelf, because it just feels nice knowing if I lose something, break something, I can walk in here, pick it up, bolt one on, job done. And the fact this is already come with so many cool bits, just new second-hand parts and mods, I am made up. I am proper buzzing about doing this, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm actually going to be kind of disappointed when the boxes end. Well, mostly because when the boxes end, that means the work starts. Yeah. Right, what have we got in here? I'm pretty certain I know what this is, because when I bought all the anti-roll bar stuff for my car, thanks Duncan for all the tips of what we needed to buy, young Chris started buying all the same bits. Oh, check it out. So this, as you already know, A6 drop links, happy days. I think these must be the, oh, that's the bolts for the drop links. That's the shackles. These are the, oh, nice. Oh, these are exactly the ones that I bought for mine. The ones I actually hacked up a little bit. Happy days, happy days. I think these might have been the bushes that came with them originally, maybe. But they're rubber. So either way, I think that, because I'm storing stuff in the engine bay at the moment because I'm running out of room, and that's the Focus rear anti-roll bar. This one might have been off a Transit Connect or something. They're identical anyway. So I've got a rear anti-roll bar setup to go on as well. Okay, so it turns out these boxes are basically loads of all the plastic tubes and all the vents and stuff. I actually don't think I need all of them. This might be a collection, because I remember at one point Chris was starting to try and collect all the pipes and stuff to put the dashboard back together in this, because I think the one that was in there before, the pipe's been taken off, all been cut up and stuff like that. So either way, I'll try and keep all this stuff together. And in here was a couple of spare sets of clocks. Now obviously clocks are great, but obviously the mileage is going to be wrong on them, but that is really handy if I do end up breaking one. So I've got the original clocks over there with some different dials and stuff on them, but these might actually be pretty good. Now I actually like the clocks in the Lemon, but obviously these have got a tack, I've got a rev count on it, so there's nothing to say that maybe one day I'll put some sporting clocks in it. I don't know, but either way, that's going there. And this huge box up here, and again I forget the reason for this. I think Chris just kind of had a few scrap cars go through his hands, or you might have went to a scrapyard. There's basically every single like door, window rubber, boot seal, everything is in that box. So I'm going to stick that in the loft, I think, because I don't need that for any of these things, and it'll be handy to have. Right, now this is a sort of interesting bit. Now my plan is to have the gear shifter inside the car for this, which I think it must have had at some point. Now I'm not completely convinced with how this has been done, so I think rather than spacers, these are like bits of pipe, so I think I'll probably need to redo this. But this is in really nice condition, and so is all the shifter stuff on the inside as well. So I mean, as long as the cables are in good, well, they've been painted, but as long as the cables and stuff are good, this would be a good starting point for me to be able to build an internal shifter setup, something that looks pretty cool. Maybe chop some stuff up on this to make it look a bit better, and then we can do that inside the car. So actually, as much as I don't like how that's been done, I like the idea of having that sat up inside the car. So that can go in the engine bay for now, because I don't know where else to put it. Now we have to get to engine parts at some point. I'm trying to be careful not to splash Chris's address over the whole internet. Oh, so this must be like a little bleeder to put the heater matrix back in. So I think Chris started to pull together the parts for that, because this car will get a heater matrix in it. Sorry, that's a mouthful. Even though it's a race car, so to speak. So that's handy. And then we've got, oh sweet. So I think that must be potentially a new alternator about then. We'll see. And then that's the fuel rail for the 16 valve setup. Happy days. Now I will be getting these injectors cleaned, I think, and tested, just to be sure. Again, I will double check that's the 16 valve and not off of something else. And then I'm going to have a little rummage around, see what else is in here. Oh, that's a new cooler pipe for the front of the block. So I'll see what's in this box now and get all these tucked away in my engine box. I know what was in that little box now. The heater matrix leaked on this, which is why it got pulled out in the first place. So it's got a brand new one. So there should be a heater around here somewhere, I think. So once that digs up, I'll put that with it. Oh, now I'm not going to lie, it's been a lot to take in, mostly because I've been trying to find stuff, figure out whether it's just a spare or whether I'm actually needed for the car. I found probably the most scary part of this whole project for me, and that's the 16 valve ECU, the immobilizer sort of ring for the key, the ignition barrel, the key, all that kind of stuff. Now the only thing that worries me a little bit is that it's only got one key. I've only got one key for the door. I'm just trying to figure out, in the top of my mind, just initially at least, how I'm going to get around that, because it'd be nice to have a few spare sets of keys for the car. So either way, I'll worry about it at a later day. I've got basically two big boxes left. These are the heaviest ones, so these have got to have some of the big bits in there, like the clutch and the flywheel and stuff like that for the engine, maybe a few other little things. But I'm probably going to stop now, because I've done a lot today. I'm going to go in, digest what I've seen. I feel much better for having just started it, because it's been bugging me knowing it's been out here for 2 days without me being able to do it. The inside already looks a lot less daunting now that I've took everything out, and I can see what's left behind. So yeah, I may not look at it at this moment because it's getting a little bit late and I'm starting to get a little bit tired from carrying all this stuff around and just sorting it all out into the garage. But it's all fitting in quite nicely at the moment. A couple of things might have to go in the loft, but until the next day when I'm feeling a little bit more fresh and the sun shines back out again because it's dark, I'll see you then. But I have found something very, very cool, and we're going to bust out the weighing scales here to see what weight saving this has on it. First impressions is quite a big one, because I've found a lightened flywheel and uprated clutch. I knew it was coming with that, so I didn't really find it, but I finally found it in the boxes, and it feels very, very light, even with the clutch bolted to it. So let me grab the weighing scales and we'll see what we're working with. Right, prepare yourself for a highly scientific test. So there you go. This is a Black Diamond uprated clutch. I don't know how uprated it is, but anything is better than nothing. And like I said, I feel like this is about the same weight as a flywheel on its own. So I'm just going to weigh it now very quickly to see how many kilograms this is. Oh, it would appear however many it is, it doesn't like it. So I better unbolt the clutch first. Right, it's actually all looking really nice. It's even got these little grooves in it, which I'm assuming is to help dissipate a bit of heat and stuff on there. And the actual disc itself, again, I've never seen one like this before. Doesn't look too worn out at all, as in only very, very slightly. So I don't know how many miles this was on there or what kind of hammering it took. But whatever it is, it looks pretty decent. Even the flywheel looks pretty good. I don't know what that resurfacing is had on it. But that looks like an intentional kind of surface that's been put on there. So I'll stick this on the weighing scales and see how much it weighs as is. Let's try that again. Please don't error this time. Ooh, yeah, that has been significantly lightened. All right, this isn't massively technical. Maybe it's slightly more than this. I don't know. But given that one of these stock, I think is in the 5-6 kilogram kind of range, I think. And obviously that one's 3.6, so this is significantly lighter than a normal one. And I think it's going to be these cutouts here which make the big difference, because I think usually this is just all one big chunk of metal. But either way, that, for anyone who doesn't know, just means your engine has just less rotational mass. There's less things for it to actually turn when it's not doing anything and when it is doing something. So now when you rev it between gear changes and stuff, the revs just won't want to drop as fast because it hasn't got so much weight just draining that energy out of it. It means the revs will pick up quicker as well when you rev it. It is all in all way better. It doesn't sap power, it doesn't need. So between that and what looks to be a nice clutch, I am buzzing. That very much sums up this car. It's just full of cool bits. It really is. If I could just bring it all together, we're on something really fun on our hands here. And this is it. Last but not least, the final box with the final part. This is literally the last thing. Apart from some bits there you don't need to see. They're just going to be the general consumables. This is a bit of a random one, actually. Right. Now, in this box, back when I used to own a turbo Cinquecento, I had a spare set of 16 valve rods and pistons should I ever mount my engine block or I wanted to build another turbo engine, and I sold them to a guy called Tom really long time ago. These pistons, in fact, and at some point my man Chris has bought these. I haven't actually asked him why yet. I assume he wanted to build a turbo one, and he bought them off of Tom and he had them in the stash, and now they have appeared in my stash of stuff. Now, for those of you who don't know, if you want to build a budget or even a good turbo one of these, a turbo 8 valve, use 16 valve pistons, because as you can see, they are dished rather than flat topped. So it brings your compression ratio down. They're actually lighter, and the rods are also lighter and stronger than 8 valve rods. So if you run a set of these rods and these pistons, you will be able to turbo your car and put some decent power through it. It's exactly what I had in my turbo one. I'm actually weirdly buzzing to have these back. Not that I have any intentions of building a turbo one at any point, or at least not an 8 valve one like this, but I'd love it. I'm going to wrap those up, I'm going to put them on the shelf, and they can be a bad influence on me at a later date. And now we've gone through unpacking all of the stuff. Now it's time to do one of my next top tips if you're taking on a big project, or even if you're just working on a small project, you've lost a little bit of motivation. What you need is booster jobs. Booster jobs for me are things that are dead easy and quick for you to basically do it, get some instant satisfaction, whether it's just like, I don't know, cleaning your wheels, putting your new wheels on, doing things. And some people might look at me sometimes and go, look man, you haven't got an engine together, your engine bay's a mess, you've got no dashboard in there, why are you doing these other jobs? Because it makes me feel good and I can see the end result a little bit more. So I'm going to get a set of wire clippers and a screwdriver. I'm going to go inside the car, I'm going to take all the foam off the roll cage, I'm going to take the red handles off, I'm going to take the fake blue carbon fibre door cards off. I think I'm going to unbolt the harnesses, and that way then I've got just a bit more of a clean canvas on the inside, and I'll feel a bit better about it already. I may even at some point bolt on the other bits that I've got to replace them, just to make me feel a little bit better. So either way, set up the tripod, watch me have a great bit of satisfaction by chopping all these bits out that I don't like, and then at the end, we'll round it up. There we go, door card's gone, red handle's gone. I've took all of the foam off. So I'll be honest with you, a lot of it that won't be going back in, there'll just be the odd piece. I have left this one because that's the most likely for me to bang my head on it at some point, even though if you look over there, it actually sits above where the door is anyway. And I've done all that as well. So as you can see, it is a very nicely built cage. And I want to have a little bit more of it on show, and it will be going a different colour. I even fixed the fact that the key doesn't unlock and lock this door. A little clip would come off. So I've done that as well. So I feel a little bit better. Well, that's it. It's a bit of a random episode really, because I wouldn't normally do this kind of unboxy type of thing. But there's been a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack. And I really hope you enjoyed it. I mean, this is really turning out to be almost as good, at least, as I was hoping it would be. So the next plan, I think, makes the most sense. Will be painting the engine bay, getting it sanded back. I'm going to pick a colour that I think will go with most things, but not be too boring, hopefully. Get all of that painted, take the headlights and stuff out, all that jazz. And then we can start reassembling all the stuff that we know and then that I've got and I know won't need to come out again to get the engine in or anything. Put the brake booster in, paint that up, put the new brake master cylinder in because there's a new one with it. Hook all the brake lines and stuff up to get those all pushed back. Get the heater blower back in, get all the expansion bottle in, all that stuff that needs to happen before the engine can go in. Then we'll build the engine and then we'll slot that into place. So my man Duncan has already offered to come down, help me with all the timing bout and stuff, because apparently it's a little bit more difficult on these than the 8 valve because things. So we'll do that, and hopefully with enough tea, biscuits and other things, I can convince him to help me suss out some of the wiring as well, so I can figure that out. But until then, next time you see me, I will have some sort of dust mask on, busting out my new mini sander and figuring out what colour and / spraying the bay. So thanks a lot for sticking with me for all of these episodes I've been firing out recently. I hope you don't mind them coming out quite so frequently. Let me know if you do, and I'll start spacing them out a little bit. Otherwise, I will see you again for a much longer episode next time in maybe a week or two. Who knows?